the frustration on his face. He really didn't know what to make of it. This track has caught a few people out for reasons they can't yet discern. And I think that's very, from a riding point of view, that is very frustrating. A lot of it, when you unload that front tyre, when you just come off the brakes and go just to tap the throttle in, front suspension extends, and that's where you take all the weight off the front of the thing and it just drops out from under you. And if some of this really slow stuff, it's really annoying when it lets go. Unfortunately, Jack was a two-time trial.
And there's 2 or 3 chances round here for that to happen to you, of course.
Cal Crutchlow.
Quick all weekend.
Yeah, it looked really good earlier on. 45.0 he did this morning in FP3 and looked sharp as. He was only, well, just about 0.04 of a second off Marq's quickest time. So a great time from Cal. And he didn't look like he extended to do it either. He looked really easy on it.
It's the new model Cal Crutchlow, isn't it? The interesting conversation with him yesterday at his debrief about people asking, well, has the bike changed? What's changed? He said, nothing's changed. You can't change anything. That Honda riders have learned to deal with the bike. Yes, there have been some electronic tickles to make life easier.
They're going to be improving them all the time.
What's all that about, Cal?
He does like it, doesn't he?
Yeah, but
that's more like the old Cal waving his hands about.
But he put it out, he didn't ride this bike at Valencia test. He didn't ride it at Sepang, I don't think, not till Qatar. So he said, if I'd had a couple of tests before I got to Qatar, where do you think I'd have been?
That sounds like a true rider speaking.
Perfect. And it's...
Got to have the tests. I mean, that's the one thing riders always whinge about, of course, is the fact that you don't get enough testing.
And nowadays, testing is very severely rational.
He's done quite a lot for Honda this year, though, George.
Well, he's now... That's the status, and you were talking about yesterday, Keith.
He's the perfect size. He's not he hasn't got the style of Marc Marquez, which is impossible. That's the reason why I'm saying what I'm saying, Jules, is because he's not that far in that extremity of style.
He's not so far off the end of the spectrum as to be irrelevant to the rest of the world.
Marc Marquez is irrelevant. I like that, Julian.
Well, to anybody else who wants to ride a Honda.
Style-wise, well, maybe. I'm sure there's somebody that's practicing that style somewhere that we're going to see in the future. And then, of course, the other end of that scale is Danny Pedrosa, who weighs about
50 kilograms.
50 kilos soaking wet. So Cal, slightly stockier, slightly heavier, slightly more standard, we'll say.
Standard issue.
Style. That's where you make a good motorcycle for everyone else.
45.3 for Lorenzo.
He's not bothered, is he?
He's not bothered at all.
45.3 is 45.151 is what he did in free practice 2 yesterday.
He's working to that, isn't he?
Yeah, and this is free practice 4, so he's using this like a free practice 3, isn't he?
He is indeed. No, I was agreeing with you about Marc Marquez that it's the Casey Stoner syndrome at Ducati. If you're Ducati, it's no good saying to all your customers, well, Casey Stoner can win on it, if nobody else can ride the thing.
I think the biggest problem Ducati had was that Casey Stoner was right in so many of the things he said, and they didn't listen to him, but he was capable of riding round it.
Exactly.
No one else, as you just said, was.
And it's a different thing with Marquez. He can do things on a motorbike that nobody else on a Honda can. Talk to Cal about it. He said at Brno, he tried braking where...
he tried doing what Marquez does. And
put the bike over the fence.
Just going to crash, whatever it is. It's interesting hearing Colin Edwards talking about the way Valentino Rossi crosses over some of the controls here and there. Still on the throttle when he goes for the brake, still on the brake when he's got a bit of throttle tapped in as well. And those are things that these superstar, top quality MotoGP, these are the best men that ride motorbikes in the world, bar none. And the fact that they do things with those motorcycles no one else can even think of, that they're experimenting in areas that you would never think of.
Even other Grand Prix riders and winners
can't contemplate.
Exactly.
Which was my point why I brought Colin into it. It's a situation where if these guys are able to do stuff that even those riders can't fathom, as Lorenzo bails out of what was another good lap.
That was going to be a 45.2, I think.
You see that one little cloud there was in the air there? Just one fluffy little white cloud. It's beautiful here in Motegi.
The picturesque nature of the setting, then.
Yeah, got to say, I'm enjoying this Japanese Grand Prix so far. There's been some massive offs. Glad we haven't got anybody that's seriously hurt. Eugene Laverty is back out, by the way, having been stopped from going out in FP3. He's 20th at the moment on a 48.6. But Eugene, couple of people have seen there's some dirt there
There's some
somewhere.
dirt.
There's marshals in the
Lots of
dirt.
people,
yeah, who's in there, I wonder?
That's up at turn 10.
10 is the top of the hill, the hairpin,
Johnny.
isn't it? Johnny Hernandez, who will be replaced, I'm told, by Carol Abram, who brings a shed load of money to the team next year. And it looks like Carol Abram is going to be buying his way into Johnny Hernandez's effort. Only rumoured at the moment, but I reckon that's the case because I've heard it for long enough from enough people. So Hernandez then falls off at the 40 mile an hour at the apex, turn 10. I think you've always got to say that here because the apex is a mile slower than the entries. The entry, you see people come off in the entry, you say it's at turn 10, oh that won't be much of a crash then because it's only 40 mile an hour. And then when you look at the footage and see them in space as they're approaching it.
As in Danny Pedrosa's crash.
Oh, at turn 11, yeah, which is a pretty, not particularly fast one. Yeah, it's only about 55, 60 mile an hour at the apex there. So.
But you're breaking down from top speed.
Yeah. Honda sounds sharp. Marquez looks sharp. Got back wheel in the air as he tries to get it steady to the apex and somehow still makes it.
At the corner we were talking about.
Marquez is on top, 45.3. That's Scott Redding with a frown on his face. Didn't make qualifying 1.
No.
Sorry, he did make qualifying 1,
yeah.
not qualifying 2, which is in the circumstances where Oyama, you're nodding away because you were going to go there, Jules. So
no Pedrosa. No Yannone. All of a sudden it should be.
He should have been in qualifying 2.
He should have been in straight to qualifying 2.
Now then, let's look into his eyes. Does he look right? It's been a big bone of contention around this paddock at the moment. A lot of people concerned about medical protocol here. The Eugene Laverty crash yesterday, that looked like a massive crash that he had. It was a massive crash that he had, but of course the head injury situation is in full focus under the spotlight at the minute by those looking into our sport, and I can be fairly sure, I don't know whether you can, maybe you'll underline it with me, but I'm fairly sure that they'll be looking at our protocols at a very high level here.
I think you're right, and not before time, we have to say.
No, it's all a bit 80s, I must say, the way that they deal with these things at the moment. And having spoken with Colin Edwards, of course, in 90s and the noughties, it seems that they didn't really improve things that much during those times. I mean, people just used to look in my eyes and say, you all right? Yeah, mate, no problem. Hold me thumb up, tell them what day of the week it was. Yeah, I knew my name. I did laugh earlier on when Hodgie was on about the travel thing. When you got the old security guys with the dogs and stuff trying to sniff out money and drugs. I've never got any money, but when you get to the airport and they ask you...
I'm not queuing up with you.
When they ask you and they say, where have you come from, sir, and you've got off and you've been asleep for the last 12 hours, I have no idea. I cannot remember where I've come from, and that happens so often. And here in Hodgie, I thought it was just me being a bit of a maniac, but Hoddie's the same. You're the same as well, are you?
No, I got asked at Manchester Airport, coming back, I think, from Aragon, and I had to go, which race? Oh, it was the Aragon Grand Prix, so I've flown from Barcelona. I literally had to work it out.
Man with the dog just laughed at me and let me go by. He's too stupid to stop, he was thinking.
And the dog was thinking much the same, obviously.
Thank you very much. You never miss an opportunity, Jules. I had to get you with a donut this morning, didn't I?
I know, yeah.
I was so frustrated.
You always win with an animal joke, if you notice. People side with you. Bautista 8th, Keith, 46.3 now.
Yeah, Bautista, having been through the dirt, has found something, hasn't he? 46.
He's found 2/3 of a second.
Well, 46.7 is where he was in FP1.
Ah, sorry, I was looking at this morning's time.
Yeah, FP1. He was
46.7. That was his fastest free practice.
Yeah, which was when the track was green and it's slippiest, like yesterday morning. I love the way the Japanese adopt people.
Yes.
I know we're going to adopt Rossi, of course we are, but look around the terraces here. There was a guy waiting for 2 hours with a little small helmet at the end of our television compound here for Hodgie.
Yeah.
2 hours the bloke stood out here waiting to get a signature off Hodgie.
The only thing I've waited 2 hours for Neil for is to buy a round. Oh, thank you.
It's not true though with Hodgie.
No, he's a good man.
He's good.
That was a foul lie. You could sue me for that one.
That was
using
a
my
joke
money
too far.
Yeah, I take it back.
He's very good, Hodgie, when it comes to the bar.
He is indeed.
Colin Edwards, on the other hand. Exactly, of course. Nothing ever worries Cole. Here we go then. This might. He always shuts his mouth when he sees this man.
Oh,
Can't
turn
speak.
11 this is as well. Look at this.
Dropping it down into the 60 mile an hour apex. of turn 11, the 90-degree corner at the end of the lap before the complex up onto...
That's a speedway rider.
Oh, you just reminded me. I've got to get tickets for Saturday night in Australia.
Oh, Melbourne,
We've got
Aussie
Aussie
Speedway
Grand Prix
Grand Prix,
there, haven't we, on Saturday night? Thanks for remembering that. Steve Brandon, if you're watching early morning back in the UK, now you know I'm going to call you. You can see the light flashing in his visor there.
Reflection off the dashboard.
You would think. Somebody's got one of those wonderful laser pens. Hope not. Doctor's dangle. Nobody does it quite like ballet, do they?
He invented it.
Yeah, and he's perfected it. 6 foot tall, not a single gram of fat on this bloke. Scary to look at with the shirt off. You think he's just not fit enough to ride a motorbike.
Not enough of him, no muscle.
The only other person I can think that is like him was Kevin Schwantz. He's another raggedy looking thing with his clothes off. You know where I'm going.
I know where you're going, Keith. I
just didn't think about my words too clearly.
No, we'll brush over that very quickly.
Here comes a rather fat-fronted Ducati. Don't even go there, folks. Everybody's been giving me a hard time because I said that it was within the rules, because those wings are not allowed to be fatter than the fairing, and they're not. Doesn't matter how many photographs you send me or how many insults you send me. It's checked. The thing that gets it through the machine is the wider muffs, the handlebar. Just if you look in front of it, there's some carbon fibre.
The black sector, it's been there forever.
And that makes it wide enough.
Yeah, that's wide enough. You just don't tend to register it because it's camouflaged black.
And the fairing is not allowed to be any wider than a fridge.
What, a standard issue fridge?
600mm fridge. 600mm is all it can be. Just think about that, you kitchen fitters. You could get a Ducati under your sink.
I'd like one under mine, please.
Polo Espargaro goes up to 9. This is only free practice 4 for those of you that have just clicked on the television. This is free practice 4. Qualifying still to come here live on BT Sport, of course. We're getting excited over Bautista, aren't we, George?
46.1 now. He is chipping away at that lap time.
Yeah, pretty refining some performance out of that bike over the last couple of... It's good for Sam Lowes while he watches two superstars, Bradl and Bautista. I get slightly annoyed, because Bradl and Bautista are two very, very good motorcycle riders.
2 world champions.
And they are very capable indeed of making that Aprilia work, and they've got to be the best test riders Sam Lowes ever had in his life, or will ever have in his life. Aleix making it work. Big lad, isn't he, Aleix, on that shot?
He is a chunky specimen, isn't he? You certainly wouldn't want to fight him.
Ask Colin.
Indeed. And he was quicker than Vinales in free practice, the quicker of the two Suzukis. Aleix having a difficult time mid-season, is back to form.
Your press corps were finding they smelt a little bit of blood down in the Yamaha camp, didn't they? They were all there with their cameras trying to get Lorenzo looking a bit dozy. You're right, Aleix goes 5th. Yep, personal best. Rabat up to 17th now. Bradley Smith still there in 18th. A bit of a rundown.
Bradley quicker than Baz, Oyama and Laverty.
Yeah, but it is 4. Free practice 4.
I know.
Got to work out the programmes. There he is in front
47.8.
of Aleix Espargaro. We're on with Dovizioso. Look at the technicalities to that aero now in front of these. They are really becoming Formula 1. That immediately balks half of the world of motorcycling, because nobody wants to see anything go the way of Formula 1.
Indeed. Bobby was really amused by it when I asked him the question yesterday about the wings, and this is the full package, this is all there is. Then he said, at the moment, you know what Ducati's like.
Dobby goes 4th. Oh, Oyama.
On the deck.
Tipped it up at 7.
That's quick.
Yeah, 7 is where we've seen some fast ones. It's only
walking.
It's only 75 or 80 at the apex of the corner.
That's a good old set of Japanese leathers as well, isn't it? The Kuchitani leathers in that pattern. That's
down the road here we go past a massive Nankai shop as well, don't we? Full of you don't see much Nankai stuff around now.
The female wildcard in Moto3's Nankai leathers.
All right.
The first time I've seen that at a Grand Prix track for a while. You can see Hero scraped up the back of his Kuchitanis, all right?
Airbags will be compulsory from 2018, and the reason it's been announced this year so far is for all those other manufacturers, other than Alpine Stars, of course, Dainese, of course, who have their own systems, so that other people can work it out, but compulsory from 2018. the airbag systems that are in the Alpine Stars and Dainese bikes, and Furigan, I think you said there's a license.
Well, Furigan licensed from Dainese. Dainese are happy. They don't want to deal with big mass production people who they think will nick their gear, but they're happy to license the smaller companies.
I think they'll still have their gear nicked if,
well,
there's that way out. There's patents that have got to cover that particular situation.
Exactly.
Was there a bit of a row going on between Alpine Stars and Dainese?
Oh, there's some Italian handbags were definitely big. I think about whether, as one of them claimed, there hadn't been a collarbone fracture when their airbag was deployed, and someone was arguing against that.
What's your standing on aero, Jules? Just a personal position.
I think they're ugly, which is irrelevant, of course. But it's one of the few things engineers have the freedom to try and improve a lap time with.
Something that we've always discussed in the past. You and I have had this discussion over. There's the rookie boys are all having a good, or is that the Asian
That's
Talent
the Chalets
Cup?
of Talent Cup lads.
Yeah, it is indeed.
The rookies are over and done with for the year. They don't go to Valencia.
But it's the same kind of academy stuff that's around Asia at the moment, churning out motorcycle races.
It's where they sell lots of motorcycles, the factories based in this country.
Lots go on over here as well, doesn't it?
Oh,
Different parts from Thailand across the region, Southeast Asia into Asia proper.
Well, you wait till we see what sort of crowd we get at Malaysia in a couple of weeks' time.
Whoa, make that Suzuki spin. Interestingly, that we all thought the Suzuki might just have it with this stops, you know, bottom gear all the way up to top gear type of course. Might struggle a little bit here, but it certainly hasn't.
Well, there's this
and Aleix is right on Maverick's case for the first time in a while.
Yep. Interesting stuff. Oh, this corner is horrible. And this is Maverick showing you the way to do it properly.
Under the bridge. We don't see many shots of them now, do we?
Great shots.
I see Gareth Harford has got some really good shots of bikes coming out of those tunnels, where it's the whiteout from behind them. It almost made them look like they've...
Yeah, you can play with the lighting effects if you're good.
There's been some really good shots, and with this sparkly sun around as well, it's going to be probably the best photograph.
And the sun goes down quickly here. It's
Asia generally.
Yeah.
That is something that I've always had to get used to when I live out this part of the world. Get to 6 o'clock and it's dropped off the edge of the earth.
Yep.
And it becomes a real problem when we get into Moto 2 in a moment, when you get through that Victory S's and up onto the front straight, right in your face. It's very low. Suzuki sounds sweet on that microphone. A lot of wing on there as well.
Yeah,
and they've had to put the cuffs on.
Ah, yes.
They've had to put the cuffs on to get the extension of the fairing out to the full 600mm width.
Ducati's always had that handlebar protector. It's been on for a while.
Yeah, but it's found itself a bit wider. Yeah, it's wider now.
Yeah, and because it's black, not the colour of the sponsors, Keith, you don't tend to notice it. It looks narrower than it is.
Probably detachable. Certainly the Suzuki one, I would think, is, because that top wing, they go for those 3 wings down the side, but it's more of an aesthetic thing normally, but that one that's on there now has got a bit of extra area.
It's got an end plate as well, which wasn't there a while back.
You wonder whether they actually go through a wind tunnel or whether they just copy somebody else's.
Good question.